So I have done a ton of video magnifier reviews on this channel. Amazing high-end magnifiers from all of the top name companies on the market. And in fact, if you would like to see some of those videos, I will link the video magnifier playlist in the description down below. But the thing is, those are all top of the line magnifiers. And I've always wondered, well, what about some of these cheap foreign made magnifiers that you can find on Amazon? How well are they going to perform, and how well are they going to stand up to some of those top of the line video magnifiers that we always see? Well, I went out and bought one. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to check out one of those cheap magnifiers you can get on Amazon, relatively cheap, we'll say, and see how well it works. So hang on out, we'll be right back. All right, before we get started, guys, if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I make videos about living your best blind life and a focus on the assistive technology that can help make that possible. So if that kind of content sounds good to you, please consider subscribing to the channel and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted every time I put out a new video. All right, let's check out this digital video magnifier from Amazon. Now, it just says portable video magnifier, 5-inch HD color screen. This is not branded. It's not branded on the box, which may be a red flag. But if I remember correctly, I got this from Eyoyo, E-Y-O-Y-O. And I will put a link to this specific device in the description of the video. That will be an affiliate link, obviously, just like all my Amazon links. So if you do purchase something through that link, the channel does get a cut. Full disclosure there. But I believe this was right around $160. Now, that's still a lot of money, obviously. But when some of these magnifiers are more in the $800 range, this is a very affordable option for a lot of people. But with that being said, is it any good? Can it be any good for $160? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. All right, real quick, let's take a look at what comes in the box. We won't go too much into detail with this, but here is our video magnifier right here on top. We have a cleaning cloth. You get a bag, a nice drawstring bag. Here is your component video cables, video and audio cables for old style connections, the red, white, and yellow. Here is a USB Type-C charging cable. And already you can see we've got a pretty nice upgrade of USB Type-C charging. You get a plug to help with charging, obviously. US plug here. I don't know if it has any international plugs available. And then really cool, you get an HDMI cable. So for connecting this to modern day video connections. HDMI will do both video and audio. And then you also get a little wrist strap. So this does have a spot to attach a wrist strap. And you get that as well. So pretty good. Oh, and one more thing. You also get this little metal rod that is threaded on one end. I will explain what this is used for here in a minute. All right, we'll put all this away and then we'll take a look at the magnifier itself. Okay, here we have our video magnifier, and you can tell not too bad. It has, if I can hold it straight, there we go. It has nice colorful buttons. Oh, I was about to say nice full screen, and then I realized it has a screen protector on it, which I maybe should just leave on. But there you go. I think it's supposed to come off because it had a little pull tab, but it comes shipped with a screen protector. Pretty nice. But what I was saying is a full 5-inch HD screen. On the top, we have all of our ports, and one thing that's pretty awesome about this right away is that all of these ports are nicely labeled, very clearly labeled. Nothing on the sides or the bottom other than the spot for the lanyard. And then on the back, here's where it kind of gets interesting. And this is where our first sign that they had to cut some corners in order to keep the price down. So on the back, you have your single camera right in the middle. It has 4 little legs that allow it to stand up on those little legs for reading flat on a surface. You also have the handle here, and the handle is in a little slot here attached to the back. And this handle, as it is right now, it doesn't move. It's stuck on here. You can't swing it out like you can on most other digital video magnifiers. It does not work like that. The way you do this one is you actually have to, and I'll see if I can do it, if I can remember how to do it. There's actually a little release mechanism here on the upper left that you have to kind of get with your thumb, and then that releases the handle that slides out. Then you can flip the handle around and put back into that little slot. You rotate the handle so it can go into that slot, and now you have a handle on your video magnifier. And the handle is locked into 90 degrees, or excuse me, 180 degrees, straight out the side. You cannot rotate it at all. It is just one fixed position. Now, nice thing is, it doesn't matter left-handed or right-handed. You can use it either way, but it is stuck in that position. That's the only way this handle works. Now, the problem with it is it wouldn't actually be so bad, but if you wanted to, after you're done using it, put it back into your pocket or back into your bag, you got this handle sticking out and you kind of have to unlock it and remove the handle and then reattach it back there. We're going to leave it off for right now. So that's one of the sacrifices for saving the money, is you don't have that really cool swinging out handle mechanism. The other is, if you want to view this at an angle sitting at a table, that is where, if you remember, what did I do with it? Here it is. That little metal rod. If you remember that guy, there is a little port on the bottom here, if I can find it. So there's a little hole there, a little screw hole, and you screw in your metal rod, and the rod sticks off the back of the magnifier, and now you can set it down and use it at a desk or a table. So once again, you save money on this product, but you're sacrificing convenience with something like this, because if you want to throw this back into your bag or your pocket, you have to unscrew your little bar here, and don't lose your little bar. Don't lose this little rod, because then you won't be able to put it at an angle to view stuff. So yeah, those are 2 of the main sacrifices you get with this type of digital video magnifier. Ultimately though, that's probably something you can live with as long as it performs well. So how well does it perform? Let's check it out. I'm going to turn it on here with the little switch on the top. And it boots up very, very quickly. Came on very quickly. Okay, if you've watched any of my videos before, my video magnifier reviews, I always test it out on one of my favorite graphic novels. This is ElfQuest. Love these graphic novels. This is book 1, ElfQuest book 1. This book is almost as old as I am. So, I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it, but this does have audible prompts whenever you zoom in. It tells you whenever you zoom out. If you freeze frame, it does that. It talks to you, so that's great. I love that. Okay, so this is full color. Let me see. Here we can see some of the full color. It's not the best, guys. It does show colors. They're not the best colors. Like, this is supposed to be more of a yellowish green and a bright yellow green. And it seems to be darkening. I wonder if there's an auto brightness turned on. But like, if I hold it up like this, it's nice and bright, but when I drop it down, it clearly, it's nice and bright. It gets brighter. When I drop it down, it gets dimmer. Hold it up, it's brighter, and it slowly gets dimmer. So it's definitely an auto brightness functionality. I have the screen brightness turned to max. I have the LED brightness turned to max. I have the volume turned to max. But the magnification, the lowest The minimum magnification is 3x. The maximum is 48x, 48 times. That's the largest magnification I think I've ever tested. As you can see though, it's not the best. At that high magnification, it's not the best image. It kind of breaks down and it's really, really dark, unfortunately. The other thing is that the image definitely loses sharpness as you increase magnification. All the way at the minimum magnification here, the text looks nice and sharp, but as we zoom in, it gets fuzzier and fuzzier and fuzzier until it's just a big fuzzy blob. There's also some serious glare on the page from the LEDs at this angle, which does obscure some of the text. Now, what about different color options? It has a ton of different color options.
Black on white.
And maybe some of these options will improve the image. Like here's full black and white. And yeah, the black and white, the high contrast black and white does look much better. Makes it much easier to read this text. So the full color, not so good, but the black and white, specifically for text, definitely helps.
White on black. Zoom in.
White on black looks pretty good. I mean, still in the higher magnification, it's not the sharpest image ever. It really isn't. And you can see that glare from the LEDs is really blocking out some of the letters here that should be visible in this shot right here. About a quarter of the screen you can't see the image on that because of that glare. So that's definitely a problem. Not as bad zoomed out, but it's still there. Yeah, it's still there. Tons of different color options, a lot of the different color options, a lot of the similar ones that we've seen on other devices. In fact, we're gonna see this more when we get into the settings and stuff, but this is actually the exact same operating system that's on another video magnifier that I reviewed recently. The difference being that video magnifier had much better hardware. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below. So just like with a lot of the higher end magnifiers, you can turn off a lot of these colors in the settings. In fact, that's what I did. That's why they're not all showing up here. I'll show you that here in a second. But we have some other options. We can freeze frame and freeze frame the image. And then of course, zoom in, zoom out, change the colors, all of that. We can also save the image by pressing this button down here at the bottom left. Just saved a snapshot of this image, saved it to our gallery, which we can access by long pressing that button. You can also save voice memos or voice messages assigned to the different pictures, the different screenshots. That's a really cool feature, and it's a high-end feature that I was kind of surprised to see on this $160 magnifier. We also have the lines, so if I long press this upper left button, we have horizontal lines. If I keep long pressing it, vertical lines, and I can press these buttons over here to move this line around.
Move left, move right, move right. Line off.
Long pressing again turns that line off. I don't believe it has blinds, only lines. But we can get into two different menus. There's an information menu and the settings. I'll jump into the information menu first by long pressing this button on the right here. Information menu, this is where your battery info is. This is the version of the operating system we're running. I should compare this with the other one and see if it's running, if it is indeed running the exact same version. But I swear it is. This menu system is exactly the same. The voice is exactly the same. That's very funny. And then if I long press this button here on the left side, the middle button, we get into our settings menu. Buttons here on the left. We'll cycle through our menu options. You have brightness. Here's where you can turn on and off some of the different color filters. So you can cycle through here, and if it has a check mark, that means it's turned on. You can also adjust the date and time, the automatic shutdown time. I went ahead and turned that all off. The volume, this is, once again, this is as loud as it goes. So that's it. That's as loud as it gets. Not very loud. And then probably the last thing to look at is that this does have distance viewing. So if I press this upper left button here,
Far.
turns it to far, turns off the LEDs, and now we can do the distance viewing.
Zoom in.
Zoom in,
Zoom out.
zoom out. Now, it's not,
Save.
and I just took a picture.
Save.
So that is really about it for the 5-inch portable digital video magnifier from Eyoyo, or at least this particular one is branded Eyoyo. It has some really high-end features, like software features, all the things that you would probably want on a digital video magnifier. The problem is the hardware. That's where the company is saving the money, and that's how they can offer this at a much lower price, is because the hardware isn't great. It's a really cheap camera. I don't know what the resolution is, but it can't be that good. The screen, it says it's HD, but that might just be 720. And especially when you're doing the distance viewing, you can really tell that it's just not a super high resolution screen. The LEDs and the glare you get, the fact that when you're zooming in to those higher magnifications, the image just isn't very clear. The colors aren't great, like doing the natural color with my book here, which you guys can see the book. It's nice and green. It's got a lot of greens and yellows. It's a very colorful book, and even the back is very colorful. The colors just they weren't represented very well on the screen of the device here. And then probably the biggest drawback is this kind of ridiculous handle system. How you have to unclip it, slide it out, flip it around, clip it back in order to use the handle. And how you have to, almost losing it, screw in this little metal rod here to allow it to sit up at a desk. I don't know. Personally, I cannot recommend this. I think, yes, you're gonna save money, but in the long run, it's gonna be frustrating. It's just not gonna be a very pleasing experience to use. The user experience is gonna be not worth the money you saved. Now, is it better than nothing? Yes, absolutely. If you don't have anything at all, then this is definitely a better than nothing option. But at the same time, your smartphone, whatever smartphone you have, is gonna do a better job than this guy. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and you found that information helpful. If you're considering picking up one of these cheaper digital video magnifiers on Amazon, in my opinion, I would pass on it. If you guys have any questions for me, please leave those in the comments down below. I'll do my best to help out. That's it guys, Sam with The Blind Life. I'll see you next time.